What's going on, everyone? This episode of the podcast is sponsored by 101CBD.org. Why? Because their products are made with full spectrum raw CBD, which means it hasn't been decarboxylated or cooked during the extraction process, so it's a more complete whole compound. Now, their products are also formulated with the highest percentage of raw CBD, allowing for maximum absorption of the essential oils, the nutrients, and cannabinoids derived from their 100% organic hemp plants. And since the CBD oil is derived from hemp, they can ship it worldwide without a problem. So go over to 101cbd.org, take a look at what they do, order yourself some products, and at checkout, use promo code IMGS25 to get 25% off of that order. Now also, don't forget, if you grow your own cannabis, if you're a cultivator of cannabis or of hemp, you can find out 4 times faster the sex of your plant when you use a plant DNA sex testing kit from Delta Leaf Labs. They make it really easy to take a sample. And then when you take that sample, you send it into the lab. A couple of days later, you're going to find out what you have to work with. And it's not expensive to do. So go over to deltaleaflabs.com. Order yourself your testing kits today. And at checkout, you can use promo code IMGS10 to get 10% off of that order. Alright, now let's get started. Now, mis amigos, my friends, welcome back. This is the In My Grow Show, the podcast dedicated to taking the mystery out of cannabis. I'm your host, Alex. And I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to me. This is show number 71. I hope everyone's gardens are looking fabulous. Mine are doing okay. Now, a little later in the show, I am going to play a conversation that I had with East Coast breeder Lorax. But before then, I want to talk about something. So, I'm going to head to Hawaii here in a few weeks, like 3 or 4 weeks. I'm going to Oahu. Don't feel sorry for me. I'm going to be on the North Shore. I'll be nowhere near Honolulu. I'm going to be up in a little town up on the North Shore, enjoying myself. But I do need help in finding some cannabis. If you know someone on Oahu, on the North Shore, who can help me out, drop me a line. You can DM me on Instagram at InMyGrow. But yeah, man, so yeah, we're headed to Hawaii. You know, we've been looking forward to it. We've been planning this trip for about 3 years. Me and the wife and my daughter, we've been planning this trip for a little while. So we're excited. We're going to be gone for more than a week, about 10 days. We love going to Oahu. This is our second time going. So like I said, if you have a connection for me, somebody who can help me out, somebody who can help me score my medicine, because I did not apply for a temporary Hawaiian cannabis license. It takes about 60 days from what I was reading. When I thought about it, I had less than 60 days, so couldn't pull it together. So we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. We're just going to try to score some weed. Okay. But don't tell anyone. It's a secret. But if you have a friend, let me know. Alright, now let's get to the strain of the week. This week I'm going to give it up to the infamous, to the very well-liked Northern Lights. If you've never had Northern Lights, you should do yourself a favor, go get yourself some. It is a beautiful smoke. It's got this great floral aroma and a beautiful fruity taste. You know me, I like a fruity bud. Now please be warned that this is a heavy indica strain, okay? This is something that's good for, like, let's say if you've got some chronic pain, and this will help out with it. If you've got sleeplessness, if you can't sleep, this is definitely going to help you sleep. This will knock you out. Or if you really like to party with the heavy indica, this is the one you want to look for, is the Northern Lights. And you should be able to find it in any establishment where quality smoke is sold, I hope. Ooh, that's almost like a little commercial for Northern Lights. I like it. Alright, now let me talk a little bit about my social media feed. Something really local. On Wednesday, August 6th, there is the Cannabis Quarterly Networking event that is going to be at the Impact Hub in Santa Barbara at 6 p.m. Those are all the details that I have for that. If you want more details as far as ticket information, please go to Instagram and look for at 805 Cannabis Society. You can get more details there. Something else that was happening in my social media feed. This week I went out and got myself some green lacewing eggs. If you follow me on Instagram or at Cannabis, I posted up some pictures of the eggs themselves, which if you look at the pictures, the eggs are either silver or they're green. If they're silver, that means that they are ready to hatch within the next 1 or 2 days. The green ones are going to take a little longer to hatch. I picked those up at my local insectary. I mean local because it's literally like 15 minutes away from my house, and that is Rincon Vitova. I got 3,000 lacewing eggs for about $20. Obviously, there was no shipping charge because, like I said, I picked them up. But if you go over to rinconvitova.com, you can order your insects and they will be delivered to your house. Now, when I picked them up, I didn't put them out right away into the garden because if they're not ready to hatch pretty soon or right away, I won't leave them out because the ants, if they do find them hanging up on the plants or anywhere, if they do find them, they will just eat the eggs off the card. So I wait for a little bit. I wait for a couple of days till I see the first little lacewing larvae kind of crawling around in the bag. Once I see that, then I'll just start putting the cards out. And the lacewing eggs come glued to this. It's probably like 1 foot long card by, I don't know, maybe 6 inches, 7 inches wide. And they have these little perforated strips that you're supposed to rip apart when you're ready. But I don't suggest you rip it apart because when you rip them, the lacewing eggs and the little stuff that they glue them down with, it kind of flakes off, and you have these chips that fly off of them. It's just a mess, and you don't really. A lot of them fall off. So what I do is when I'm ready, I'll just cut along the perforated little edge. It's a lot cleaner, and it comes with its own hook. So I just hooked them up, hung them around the garden, and just waited for the rest of them to hatch. Now, when I picked up the lacewing eggs, it came with this little information flyer, and one of the things it tells me is the target pests. And the lacewings are going to eat the eggs and young larvae of the Colorado potato beetle, the flea beetle, most caterpillar pests like armyworms, budworms, bollworms, borer cornworms, cabbage loopers, coating moths, etc., aphids, spider mites, scales, mealybugs, whiteflies, thrips, leafhoppers, and other pests. So yeah, these little things are going to take care of 2 of my pests, which are the whiteflies and the flea beetles, which I have all over my tomato plant. Not all over, but there's some there. I did see them there, so they're going to take care of those. So if you haven't yet, go over to either In My Grow on Instagram or just find me on Cannabis at Alex Robles. And then check it out. You'll see the pictures. And then leave me a message. Alright, now next to the report from the Cannabis front line, it's going to be, of course, because it's kind of a theme because I'm on my way there, a quick word about Hawaii. And I got this from the normal website, that is normal.org. Go over there, get informed, and then become a member. And it says here, Democratic Governor David Ng failed to take action on legislation decriminalizing low-level marijuana possession offenses, thereby allowing the measure to become law without his signature. House Bill 1383 reduces penalties involving the possession of up to 3 grams of marijuana from a criminal misdemeanor, punishable by 30 days in jail and a $1,000 fine, and a criminal record, to a non-criminal violation, punishable by a $130 fine. It also provides procedures for the courts to grant an expungement order for those previously convicted of a marijuana possession offense involving no more than 3 grams. And this new law is supposed to take effect January 11th, 2020. Well, alright. 20 points for Governor David Ng for doing that, for letting cannabis be decriminalized in Hawaii. But, as I read on, it says this. Separate legislation measures which sought to establish a commercial hemp industry in Hawaii and to permit qualified patients to engage in inter-island travel with medical cannabis were both vetoed by the governor on Tuesday. And because of that, Governor Ng, I'm going to take away 500 points because that's just messed up, brother. Come on. Why don't you just allow for hemp and then allow people to travel with their cannabis between the islands? So you still got some work to do, Mr. Ng, as far as my opinion goes. And that is the report from the Cannabis front line today. So like I said earlier, I had a conversation with East Coast breeder Lorax. He was cool enough to give me some of his time to talk to me just about some basic breeding stuff, how he does breeding, who taught him. Man, we talked about a bunch of different things, man. It was really a good time talking to him. I had a lot of fun. So hang tight. I'm going to play a little bit of music, and then I'm going to put that conversation on for you. All right, I'll be right back.
Well, everybody, get this. On the phone with me today, I have East Coast breeder Lorax with me. Now, if you don't know who he is, you should go over to Instagram, find him at Lorax315. Lorax, brother, how are you doing today?
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing really well, man. I'm doing really well, bro. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to have me in an interview. First time I've ever done an interview, so I'll try my best to answer all the questions to the best of my ability.
Oh, man, it's going to be great, bro. Yeah, it's going to be great, man. So, first of all, before we get any further, man, I got to tell you, I really like your IG page, bro. Fucking everything on there looks just velvety and frosty, bro. Yeah, so do me a favor, man. Introduce yourself a little bit so everybody kind of gets an idea of how long you've been breeding, because you're a cannabis seed breeder?
Yes, sir. I've been growing since 98, and I've been breeding since probably 2001.
So,
second generation, I took over a lot of my uncle's stock. When he went to the Vietnam War, he started picking up and collecting stuff, and once he was done with his tour, he kind of went AWOL and went on the hippie hash trail and went around there and collected stuff, and then came back. Oh, God, it was 91 or 92 is when he came back.
Wow. So is your uncle the one that taught you how to grow?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I did a little bit here and there, and I read a lot of books, and that's how I kind of got started. But once I got a little bit older and he seen that I was into it, he kind of took me under his wing.
Well, that's cool, man. I'm glad you had someone that was there to want to teach you. You know, a lot of us had to fucking trial and error it and learn it, try to sneak information from other people.
Yeah, he was mainly an outdoor grower, so he taught me a lot about that, and then I kind of branched indoors, and I kind of taught him about that, so it was real nice.
Hey, so, yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that. So I noticed that you finish flowering outdoors? So do you start all your plants indoors and then just throw them outside?
No, I got an indoor setup, which is hydroponic, aeroponic, actually. It's just water-based with sprayers.
Okay.
And that's one of them. And then I do greenhouse and light dap work. My greenhouse is regenerative beds, where once you take the plants down, all the stalks and stems go in there, and then pig shit from the farm, the chicken shit, and the alpaca stuff all goes in there mixed in every year. So we got organic, we got synthetic, and then one of my small rooms, which is usually my tester room in the wintertime to test everything out. During the summertime, we do clones, and you flower them depending on the light schedule outside, either for 4 or 5 weeks, and then I just either move them outside or into a greenhouse, and they finish up real well.
Wow, yeah, I was wondering because I was looking at your page, and I was wondering if, during the wintertime, since you are on the East Coast, do you shut down operations? But I guess you got a hydroponics indoors that works out real good.
Yeah. I do indoor. I'm using Pacific lighting technology, or Pacific lighting concepts from Green Garden. In my main room is PLC6. And in the small room, I'm using rapid LEDs. And then in the small breeder boxes indoors, I'm using Green Garden's photo boost strips. And then I do my main breeding of my main stuff out in the greenhouses. But I do tester breeding inside in small, 3x3 boxes.
What kind of IPM do you run outdoors?
Pretty much just natural stuff. The only real management of sulfur when the veg things in the spring, because we just live in a valley in between two mountains. So PM's an issue, and so is Botrytis beginning and the season. But other than that, we use nematodes, predatory spider mites, stuff like that. But we really don't spray anything on the plants.
Hey, so outdoors, how do you combat the Botrytis?
Well, we try to breed for that, and if things don't like to finish that way naturally, they got to get light depth. So they have to be done by either, I would say, June 1st. Before, because it'll start raining again. Like right now in July, it's raining, but then it'll dry back up end of July, beginning of August, and it'll stay dry till the beginning of September. So if that's your window for something that's quote unquote a hot strain that doesn't do well in your climate, it's got to be when it's it's not going to rain out and it's going to get light depth.
And outdoors, what kind of, are you running soil? Are you running cocoa? What's your medium odds?
It depends. Just on the beds, we get peat moss. It's called Lambert peat moss. And then we mix that in with straw. I take all the stalks and the ground up fan leaves from everything, and I mix it in there. And then we breed pigs for pork, so we have unlimited amount of pig poop. And then same thing with chickens and alpacas. So between that and then my wife collects all the different like nettles and stuff like that and does all the teas and stuff. Because
you add the pig poop,
yeah.
How long do you have to let that sit? Does that get really hot?
It'll be so hot. I learned the hard way when I was having where I separated some of the pigs where this pig got injured or whatever, got separated into a smaller pen instead of free range. And if the pig poop builds up where you push it out of their stalls and stuff, it's so hot it can kill a grown tree, which it has on my property, which you learn the hard way. You got to keep the piles away from anything like that, and you got to turn them and keep them probably for like 3 years before you can use it.
Wow, 3 years. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, if you got in a space that's real dry and you turn it all the time and you mix straw or hay in with it or something that it's going to loosen it up, it'll take less time, but it's pretty dense.
Wow, that's a trick.
But it's killer fertilizer once it's done.
Yeah, I bet. I was just wondering how long you have to just let it cook for, but man, that seems like...
Yeah, about 3 years. I mean, it's all mixed in with the straw for their bedding, so it's, pretty aerated, but, it's still... Yeah, it takes about 2 to 3 years, even then. And then you mix it sparingly with your soil, depending on what you're using.
Wow, man. Are you feeding any kind of nutrient line outside, or you're working off the soil?
No, not outside. It just gets the well water, which is actually it's heavy, hard water. So it's got a lot of like calcium and trace minerals and stuff. So we don't got to add any of that. It's got a good phosphorus in the water. And other than that, it gets everything that we amended in the beginning of the year. In some years, depending on what's growing as a cover crop down in the greenhouse, we don't put anything in there.
On your grow inside, you said you're running aquaponics?
Yeah, back in the day, I got my hands on this DVD called Seymour Buds. This guy, it's just a pump with a couple sprayers on it and a 50-gallon tote. I run a couple plants in those net pots in rock wool, just in half-filled 25 gallons, just water nutrient solution.
What kind of nutrient line you running in there?
Just raw fertilizer salts that I sourced from a chemical company.
Oh, wow. Huh. Raw fertilizer salts. Oh, trip out, man. That's interesting. I never heard that. Right, Han? That explains a lot.
Yeah, well, it all depends on your customer base. You know what I mean? Some people, don't really care as long as it's good looking and it's the right price. And other people want to pay for a better, cleaner product that's more healthy for them and healthy for the earth. But that's the main thing indoors. I just, the way the product ends up looking, and it just ends up finishing way faster, and I get a way better yielding with soil indoors, and it's cleaner. I've never had a bug issue, and the maintenance is extremely small. I'm a one-person crew, so I can't really, you know what I mean, not hire anybody to come in and help take the room down or put the room back together after, so to be as efficient as possible.
Yeah, you have to, especially, like you said, if it's just yourself, man. You got to streamline. If not, you can be spending the whole fucking day in there.
Yeah.
So when you breed, is everything you breed, are they photo period?
Yeah, everything's pretty much photo period. I did a couple autoflower things, didn't really pan out too well. So I just didn't really have the time or the space really to go into it.
Yeah.
But, I did a couple small things, and they came out all right, but they're just not my bag.
Oh, I was about to ask you how you feel about autos, man.
For some people, they kill it, but it just, it's hard. You know what I mean? The way I have everything set up, you really got to be either an auto grower for flower, which is like feminized, or you got to be an auto breeder. If you find something nice in a room, you got to be able to pull it out, which means you either got to have it in soil or in a pot. Some system you could pull it out and breed it, or you're breeding the room, or you have a chance of plants next to it breeding. Even if you're taking a paintbrush and going in there and breeding a plant, you still have a chance. So that's just can't really do it in my program.
Paintbrush. What are you using the paintbrush for?
Sometimes when you collect pollen and save it, you to go in and paint a lower pistil or a lower branch to breed it one female with maybe 3 or 4 different pollens to see what they throw. So you take like a little water brush, paintbrush when you were like a little
you
kid
look like
type
watercolor.
thing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then you just put it in the pollen, and then you just touch the buds with it with the fans off. You leave the fans off for a couple days, and then you lightly mist what you did with a little bit of, fresh water, and it'll get rid of the pollen pretty much and make it sterile.
So you're saying
that's what you use paintbrush for, unless you're doing. That's if you find something in a tester batch that's really nice and you have the pollen that's saved. Usually I get a couple of each, what I want to try out, and then I'll take so many males depending on what it's going to be, and then I'll put them in a greenhouse and do it all natural, and then I'll do this exact same thing inside with chemicals and see if the 2 different lines throw different things because they were bred in different environments.
Right. Huh. Hey, so I'm going to take you back a little bit. So you said, okay, you take the paintbrush, you paint the pollen onto the plant that's just starting to flower, right? It's got the little hairs coming up. Is that right?
At about 2 or 3 weeks, you could take the pollen and you take the paintbrush and just dip it in there. And then the pistils that come out, the hairs, when they're still white, you just touch the tip of them a little bit and boom, it's impregnated.
And then you go back and you wet it. Why are you wetting it so it doesn't fly off?
2 days, I just spray it a little bit because I have multiple things going on.
Yeah.
And I can't
have that pollen flying off.
A cross-contamination.
Yeah, okay.
So if you have the fans off, you most likely, and you're not moving quickly around something, there's going to be no air draft, and you could just spray it down a little bit with a little bit of water, fresh water or distilled water, not to get it too moist because you're just doing this to lower buds that aren't dense enough to rot anyways. And then you just let them dry off, and it should usually sterilize the pollen once it gets wet.
And you also said you do one plant with like a tester plant with different pollen?
Yes, you could take one female plant, and I have multiple males, and you don't know what something's going to throw until you breed them together. You could have an idea, but you really don't know. So instead of saying, okay, well, I have 8 females and I have 8 males, so it's going to take me almost 3 months if I do the 8 females with the 1 male in the box. And so it's going to take me almost 2 years to breed each one of those individually. Instead, I could flower all the males out, collect all the pollen, and then take each one of the females and pollinate a branch of each one and tie it off and tag it and say, okay, X male with this female branch and Y male with that female branch. So at the end of it, maybe I get 50 seeds, and then I give them to one of my buddies, or I try them myself and I see what happens. And I say, well, okay, X and Y didn't work out, but A and B were great. So we're going to do a full run of that and then give them to testers and let everyone see how they grow in their environment. Are they stable? Do they yield well? What are the growth characteristics, the smells? Even though, both of them maybe smelled like lemon, they could have came out with something totally different.
Hey, so how many testers do you think makes a good, let's say, stable? What's
really, you only need one as long as he's a good tester and he does his job.
Yeah, but don't you want them in different environments, like you were saying? Maybe somebody's, I don't know, out west.
Trying to get some. It depends on what you're breeding. Right now, I'm. I don't know if you probably heard HBK Genetics out in California.
Yeah.
Okay, so I talked to him at a little bit of length, told him my situation, what I'm looking for, and as a fellow breeder, he said, okay, this is what I got that could fit your situation. So I got some seeds from him. I popped them. Perfect. Out of the 60 seeds I started, I got 6 killer females and 4 killer males. And I asked his permission to F2 them. and I'm going to use his males to see what they could do for PM resistance out here on the East Coast. So it all depends, what are you breeding for? I'm breeding for PM resistance, so I'm going to try to find someone in a similar environment that might have problems with PM. And I'm going to say, okay, well, I'm going to send you some seeds, and just be honest with me. Were they trash? Did they get PM? Did they get PM real bad? Did they get it just a little bit, maybe at the end of the flower when they were dying off and their immunity was down? You know what I mean? So really all depends. What are you breeding for? Are you breeding for yield? Well, I'm going to give them to commercial growers and see what they can get out of it. You know what I mean?
I do. It makes it clear. Yeah, it makes sense for sure. Hey, so when you say F2, just so everybody understands, what is an F2?
Okay, well, an F2 is when you take sister plants or sister and brother plant and you breed them together. So he made an F1, which he took two dissimilar plants and bred them together to make an F1. And then I got the seeds from him, and then I picked out of those progeny, like I said, 6 females and 4 males, I believe it is. And I'm going to breed those together to make an F3 population. So if you breed siblings together is when you're going down a line. And if you want to cube something, people have a bunch of different things, but this is how I was taught. If you want to back cross something, you take one of the male progeny, which would be a son, and breed it back to the mother, or you would take a female progeny and breed it back to the father to back cross. But to outcross, you would bring something else in. So with the F2, you would just take something from it depends on whatever you're using, but you would pick a male and a female from that, or a couple males and a couple females to continue your work, depending on what you're doing. Are you looking for a bigger population? Are you trying to neck something down? It really all depends on if you're going to back cross, or if you're going to outcross, or if you're going to line cross.
Okay, now, how I understand it, back crossing, that helps kind of lock in the genetics, kind of lock in that strange genetics. You got it where you want it, and now this way they can't really have too much genetic drift. Is that right?
Yeah, when you back cross, it'll lock in certain genetics, but it could open up other ones. But when you F2, usually you're just trying to keep all the genetic material together. If you're like, I'm taking the 4 males and I'm putting them with the 6 females, to get as much genetic potential as possible, to get a huge assist of seeds out of it. So I'm not really necking anything down. I'm trying to open it up. I'm trying to see what's in there.
Let's do a little bit of breeding 101. All right, so in order to make a seed for cannabis,
yeah,
you need the male, because the male makes the pollens, and the females, right?
Unless you're feminizing them.
Okay. How do you feminize them? I mean, what's the basic
you can
way?
use colloidal silver or STS spray, or back in the day, we used to spray them with aspirin. Back in the 90s, that's what we did. We sprayed it with aspirin and kind of just roughed the plant up a bit and made it produce, by stress, a couple male sacs. But I don't really do feminized work that much. I haven't really had a lot of luck with it. Depends how strong your plants are. If I've had them where you try to feminize them and they do produce male pollen sacs, but then the pollen's sterile, or they don't drop pollen. So it's a lot of work for some that might not pay off.
Yeah, I bet.
But if you have a male and a female, you're pretty much going to get seeds.
Typically, I mean, naturally, yeah, the males will grow taller than the females, drop the pollen, and then, the females will just pick it up or hang on to it and make a seed.
Yes, sir.
Hey, so you said you were feminizing seeds back in the 80s?
Back in the 90s.
Oh, back in the 90s. So feminized seeds have been out that long?
Yeah, actually, besides my uncle, I had a friend's father that was a really cool dude that I didn't think grew pot indoors until one day we were hanging out at their apartment, and his dad brought me upstairs into their attic, and he had 2,000-watt lights going, and showed me his breeding projects and stuff like that. And he's the one that actually showed me how to feminize seeds back then by spraying them with aspirin.
Wow, what a trip, man. I never heard that about the aspirin.
Yeah, and it works sometimes, but so it all depends on how strong the lines are, if they're gonna harm or not for you with stress.
Right.
Some just won't do it.
Wow. Huh. Watch about, man. Hey, Lorax, let me ask you, man. So you heard about the whole Phylos fucking thing that happened a couple months ago?
Yeah, I actually had a couple of my strange Phylos myself.
No shit.
Yeah, I had 3 of them.
Man, where do you stand on it? How do you feel about what they did?
Well, when I first heard about it, I heard about it through one of the dudes I look up to, Kevin Jodry, and it sounded like pretty much sounded like everything was legit. Obviously, they were going to use your data to try to further their breeding program, but that's kind of a trade-off for me to know what's in my plant to help me further my own breeding program. Now, the things that transpired, I don't really get too much into politics and things like that. You know, they look like they're stealing everybody's shit, but that I don't have any proof over that. You know what I mean? So I won't get anything else Phylos, that's for sure.
We were talking about Phylos, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a trip when it all came out. I was because I knew a couple of people that had sent a few things in, man, and they were just, everybody just couldn't believe. Everybody just felt cheated, bro, lied to.
Yeah, and people, you can't have expectations for other people for the way that you would portray yourself. So the way that you conduct yourself, you can't really hold other people to those standards. So, sometimes you get burned. I got burned. But, okay, they got my info. They didn't get my plant material. They're not using my plant material to breed with. You know what I mean? So, they got some.
Yeah, I do. And that's something a couple of people have told me. Like, it's fucked up what they did, but, they don't have actual genetic material like you're talking about.
And that's what I said. The only statement I really made was someone purposely gave a biogenetic engineering company or whatever they're considered living plant material without legal some sort of something drawn up between you and them with a lawyer so that you wouldn't get fucked is kind of your own fault. Why would you give living plant material to someone that is doing something with it in this area without protecting yourself? I sent in dead samples to get a DNA test like people do their own DNA to see where their ancestors came from.
Yeah, no, there is a certain level of personal responsibility. We can't just. I
think there is, but that's just from the era I'm from. If you fuck up, it's on you. If someone lies to you and fucks you over, then they're a shiesty person. But everyone has made that bad decision and said okay and let their buddy stay over, and they stole something out of your house.
Yeah,
and, if something happens and you say, I'm learning from this, I'm not going to let it happen again.
Yeah, that's a pretty good comparison, man.
But, I get why people are upset. It's supposed to be a community. This guy came out. He was acting like he was a community member and, trading on certain people's credibility for, sticking their name out for him and stuff like that. And then to just pretty much fuck everybody over. And then be, fine with it and say, pretty much say he didn't do it until the videos came out that, what was it, Sun-Grown Mids or somebody came out with? Who was it? Somebody popped up the vids on IG.
Oh, I don't know.
On YouTube about him coming out in an investors meeting and actually telling the truth about what happened.
Oh, yeah. That was, who was that? Yeah, but I saw that video, though.
It was somebody on IG, and then I went on YouTube and found it, and I watched them all. Things happen, and you just got to kind of move forward and say, I got to look out for me and mine, and you got to look out for the community, and you got to kind of just come together as a community, and if people fuck you over, kind of just push them out, and use your dollars to vote kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the truth, man. Hey, Lorax, so help me out, man. Help me out a little bit because I want to ask you, how do you store pollen? Because I've stored pollen before, and sometimes it stores great, and other times it gets all fucking moldy.
You got to dry it out. You got to use desiccant packets. I never really stored too much pollen. I usually did it with live male plant and a live female or female plants. But I've been storing more pollen in the last year because I got on IG and I was able to talk to people. And my buddy Boston Bob actually broke it down for me probably about 6 months ago how he does it. And I still have pollen he sent me that's viable in my fridge from at least 6 months ago. So how he does it is he takes the male plants when most of the flowers are still closed, and he calls what he calls milking the flowers, where he takes latex gloves and like a Pyrex glass dish, and he gets the pollen out of each one, and he taps the pollen out of the ones that are open, and then he sifts that through a flower sifter to get out all the actual male pollen sacs, so it's just the pollen.
Like plant material. You don't want any plant material in there.
You don't want any plant material.
Okay.
And I believe he said he mixes flour in with his, but I could be mistaken. It's been a while since he told me. I'd have to go back and look to actually comment completely on that. And then he takes it, once it's dried out, he takes desicant packets and then puts them in the vacuum seal bags and vacuum seals the pollen. And it stores really well.
All right, huh? I'm going to try. Well, all right. Yeah, get back to me about the flower. Because, like I said, man, I tried to do it, I don't know, maybe last year when I had a male. A really nice male, too. Look, I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to save it. All right. Put it in the fridge.
The biggest thing is getting the moisture out of the pollen and making sure none of the sacs are in there.
Yeah, well, I did that. I made sure none of the sacs were in there, but I didn't sift it, though. I didn't even think about sifting it. There was probably some little fucking plant material in there.
Even if it cakes up, it's still viable. The only time it's really not viable is if it molds.
Yeah, that's what I got that time. Open the jar. I opened the jar all excited. Yeah, right. And I was like, fuck.
Did you use a desiccant packet?
No, I didn't know about the desiccant packets, man. That's why I was asking. So how do you save it?
Yup, you just use one of those, and I'm pretty sure he said he mixed flour with it because you don't need the density that the pollen is.
Oh, okay.
The flour fluffens it up so it's not as dense. But I'll have to get back to you on that.
Yeah, let me know. So you're on the East Coast.
Yep.
How many states more or less out there got some kind of medical cannabis laws, man? What do you got? Like maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them?
Pretty much the whole Northeast. There's D.C. It's got recreational. I'm pretty sure they got med still. So that's our nation's capital. People don't know that the law of the land there supersedes federally everywhere if they actually want to look that up. So it being legal there kind of helps everybody. And then Maine, Vermont, I believe, I don't know about New Hampshire, but Massachusetts, Jersey, New York. But New York, you can't smoke flower. It's just
New York is just concentrates, or just something like that, man. Something weird. Yeah, they don't want to see
lozenges and
New York doesn't want to see you rolling like joints outside or something.
Oh no, it's a misdemeanor if you're caught smoking outside.
Damn.
It's a whole different trip on the East Coast. It's a little different. Massachusetts is getting there. Pennsylvania's open wide up. Pennsylvania is been really progressive. I heard with the hemp farmers, all my buddies that live down there. I don't know how they're doing with the actual marijuana, but they've really opened it up. I heard with the hemp.
Yeah,
so, I mean, we're getting there, but it's a money game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Hey, so have you ever entertained the idea of, growing some hemp seeds? Because, dude, hemp's getting big everywhere.
That would, yeah. The main goal really would be, once where I'm at is completely on deck with everything, where the regulations aren't crazy and I could actually get into it and make a difference, would be, I want to open, I don't know if you ever heard of methadone maintenance program.
I have.
But it helps people get off of opiates.
Right.
I want to open up almost the exact same thing, but with marijuana.
Dude, that's awesome, bro. That's
that'd
cool,
be the
man.
main goal. Would be to grow enough outdoor flower where you could give people, I don't know, it would be 2 grams a day, or you'd have to give them 2 grams of oil. Depends on all, where they are, to help them out, to get them off of opiates. But that would be like the main goal of my life, to get to that point.
Wow, man, that's beautiful, bro. Right on. I hope it happens, man.
My best friend OD'd almost 10 years ago. So it's, you know what I mean? Something I don't like. So if it was there to help him, it could have helped him and saved his life. And so if I could help other people, I believe in giving more than you take, and you'll be happy. So,
like I said, man, that's awesome, bro. I hope it happens for you, man. Well, hey, Lorax, brother, thank you for getting on the phone with me, man. I appreciate the hell out of it.
Definitely. Thank you for even having me on and thinking about me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hey, do me a favor. Tell us, you working on anything right now that you're excited about, that you can talk about?
On the breeding projects right now, like I said, I'm working with HBK Genetics, Pink Diesel, and I found a couple killer males that I'm going to be hitting with all the females I have, the Blueberry Donut, Manhattan Pests, Uncle John Skunk, Buck Strickland OG. These are all things that I've bred throughout the years. And then I got a really killer male from a friend I met on IG. It's 689 Family Farms. And he sent me a Durban Lime X Lime Pop 5.
Ooh, I love the Durban, bro. I'm a big fan of the Durban.
It's gorgeous. And so I found a killer male and a killer female in that, and he's letting me go down the line with that and breed on his work. So that's really cool. And I'm going to be using that male to hit everything else and just see what they throw, and be a lot of testers end of fall.
That sounds like a good project right there, dude. That Durban one. Like I said, I'm a fan of the Durban, bro. That stuff just gets me in all the right spots.
Yeah.
Hey, brother, so do me a favor, tell everybody how they can find you either on social media and how they can, order some of your seeds, man.
Well, the main thing is just get at me on IG at Lorax315 or Uncle John's Farms Genetics.
Now, Uncle John Farms, is that yours or whose is that?
Yeah, I'm.
Are you Uncle John?
I really don't sell my seeds like that. It's not really how I make my living. I kind of do it more as as I was growing up, it was really hard to get good seeds. You know what I mean? You either bred them yourself or you were lucky enough to find somebody that would gift you something. And you usually had to work really hard doing all the bullshit work for them to gift them to you. You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah, I do.
So,
I grew up in the Southwest, and we got a lot of shitty seeds. Good seeds, you cherished them.
The first stuff I bred was when I first started smoking pot, everything had seeds in it, and it was brown.
That's a trip, right? It's a trip. See, now that's what young people nowadays don't realize. They're like, oh, yeah, Sensimilia. I was like, Sensimilia, I remember getting Mexican brick. Like, I would still get the corners of the fucking brick.
I found half of a dried out gecko, a brick of pot before.
Yeah, I mean, and you would see the seeds through the fucking brick. You're like, fuck, look at all that a lot of that stem and seeds.
Yeah, and man, in the bottom of a garbage bag, when you get a 100-pound bale, you'd have probably, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 Ziploc baggies full, like sandwich baggies full of seeds.
Yeah,
the bottom of a 100-pound bale.
So
kids nowadays and people nowadays are extremely
spoiled.
Lucky.
Okay, hey, that's a good word.
But,
yeah, man.
Yeah,
it's a trip. Well, once again, Lorax, man, right on. Thank you for getting on the phone with me, brother. I appreciate the hell out of your time, man. Don't go anywhere. Don't hang up. Everybody else, I'm going to be right back.
Spells out the story of fire and horror, of war and glory. What could children and housewives do? War took their fathers, you poisoned their food. Survivors crawl, rise.
Well, there you go, everybody. Just a little bit of a breeder knowledge for you. I hope you learned something. I know I did. Again, I want to thank Lorax for taking the time to talk to me. I really appreciate his time. I appreciate everything that he shared with me also very much. And you can find him over on Instagram at Lorax315. Go over there, take a look at what he's doing. Say hello. Show him some love. Now, don't forget, if you have a question or a comment about this episode, you can reach out really easily. You can find me on Instagram at InMyGrow, or you can go over to Cannabis, just look for Alex Robles and leave a comment. Well, mis amigos, my friends, that's all I've got for you today. That's a show. Don't forget that if this episode has educated you, entertained you, or even given you a little escape from your day, go over to patreon.com/InMyGrowShow and leave a financial donation, man. Any amount is appreciated. $1, $5, $20, whatever you can. If you don't want to leave a donation at Patreon, you can go over to inmygrow.com, click on the Support the Show tab, and you can buy a t-shirt. Or even easier, before you go shopping on Amazon, you can click on the link in the show notes of this episode for Amazon, and that just lets them know that we sent you and the show gets a commission. Now, if you can't support the show financially, don't worry about it. I get it. Here's how you can help, though. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening to a podcast. Subscribe to the website, inmygrow.com, and then go over to YouTube, find In My Grow Show, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And then tell 3 other people about the show also. Really easy. Alright, well, I'm going to get up out of here. I love you all very much. And remember to always grow, learn, and teach.